Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. On May 17, 2024, I'm going to read a chapter from a book. It's called Covert Technological, I can't say the word, MURDER, A Pain Ray Beam by Renee Pittman. And I'm going to read the back of the book also. But before I do, please remember to hit the thumbs up. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. Here in eastern Kentucky, it was raining all day today. Very humid, balmy. No sunshine today. So, moving forward here, it says, November of 2017, I woke around 2:30 a.m. to the sound of beamed sonic weapon, hum, 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 designed to create high-tech nerve damage or a synthetic brain aneurysm or cancer. The covert high-tech beam assault was backed by a painful attack using extremely low-frequency microwave technology, of which thousands of victims term the people cooker. Directed energy weapon including slow cooking of my heart. I looked out the window to the night sky for the source, and there were 3 drones with flashing lights hovering in a triangular pattern above my home in low orbit. By some estimates, there are 300,000 plus U.S. citizens suffering similar attacks, marginalized for official subjugation and ongoing human experimentation using highly advanced electromagnetic frequency weapons legalized for military personnel on civilians within a mobilized, unified COINTELPRO for ongoing research activity and human experimentation for law enforcement, federal, state, and local, under the guise of crowd control on steroids. Today, many report testing on men, women, and even children. I just want to mention that this book is published in 2013. It was published in 2013, so we're 11 years ago, and the technology is much more advanced than what I'm going to discuss here. So, she writes, had I been placed on the U.S. target kill list for refusing to be silenced and courageously revealing the heinous covert paradigm of a hideous fused military personnel, military technology, domestic program within a modernized high-tech COINTELPRO, key were the attacks in the wee hours of the morning, which then gradually became more intense during the day. Or were they toying with me as time passed? One of the most corrupt police departments in the USA, the Los Angeles Police Department, was playing a major role in a nationwide example, now using drones, satellites, with rogue federal agents, systems and devices, and setups in neighboring locations, garages, and rooms in a compliant community, their workstation, and spearheaded by the FBI, Joint Resource Intelligence Center, Los Angeles County Spy Center. Okay, so now that was what written on the back of the book. So I'm going to read in Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is Jeremiah's attempted, quote-unquote, false flag programming. Jeremiah Ivie, I-V-I-E, appears to be one of very few who actually got away unscathed to some degree before total, efficient, collateral damage completely took his life or the lives of his parents by those seeking to use him in what he believes was a false flag effort. False flag or black flag describes covert military or paramilitary operations designed to deceive society in such a way that the operations appear as though they're being carried out by other entities, other groups, or nations other than those who are actually planned and executing them. Oh yeah, you know how the way we keep saying, oh, it's China, China, China. Oh, it's Russia. Oh, it's them. It's them, them, them. No. It's us, us, us. We're the instigators. Operations carried out during peacetime by civilian organizations as well as covert government agencies may, by extension, be called false flag operations if they seek to hide the real organization behind the operation. Sort of like the real organization behind the operation of bringing all those people into the country, you know, with gift cards and cell phones. What about the university protesters that don't live here? Oh, right? So false flag operations are designed to shake group consciousness in some manner and change the perception of the masses in some way, usually for a specific agenda, and in most cases through gain, the use of manipulated fear. Some believe such gun control effort is to disarm Americans. Many people in the targeted individual community continue to raise an eyebrow about the mass shootings, such as in Aurora, Colorado, James Holmes, Aaron Alexis, the Washington Navy Yard shooting, and in Colorado, the individual responsible had an obvious dumbfounded look on his face while sitting in court and appeared to be in total disbelief himself that he actually did the things being reported that he had while sitting there in shackles. There was a Newport, Rhode Island police report summarizing early morning complaints, August 2013, by Washington Navy Yard shooter Aaron Alexis. Alexis complains that an individual he had an altercation with at the airport had sent 3 people to follow him and keep him awake by talking to him using some sort of microwave device, quote unquote, the news report stated. Was this a first red flag, or some would argue a false flag, leading to an alarming portrait of a defense contractor suffering from a mental illness or fact? What caused Alexis to voice his complaint in August 7, 2013, 42 days prior to embarking on a shooting rampage at the Navy Yard, leaving 13 workers dead, the location he believed as culprits? Law enforcement officials close to the investigation, have reported to the press that the stock of Alexis's shotgun had been carved with, quote unquote, better off this way, and, quote unquote, my elf weapon. The military industrial complex, contractors, many others familiar with this technology know that ELF, E-L-F, was undoubtedly a reference to an extremely low frequency. ELF is extremely low frequency, and is a term applied to microwave technology, and this technology is portable, handheld, land, sea, and space-based. Do you hear that? It's portable, handheld. A victim's report being tracking and monitored by operatives using portable technology originating from the military-industrial complex. Actually, I know a targeted female who has photos. She sent me photos of one of these creatures carrying a backpack and aiming one of these weapons at her. She photographed it. She reported it, and it actually stopped for her. She doesn't know why she was targeted. As documented from my personal experiences, research, and documenting the history of this technology and laws approving its use, microwave mind control technology was developed over 50 years ago, but specifically during the height of the Cold War. Among the desired effects of microwave weapons are sleep deprivation, a symptom that reports reveal that Alexis received treatment for prior to the shootings. Aaron Alexis, reference to microwave machines is more than an utterance. The deceased man was familiar with microwave systems beyond the common kitchen appliance, and I can personally attest to not only the capability to be electronically harassed verbally, as can many of a sound mind targeted, but also to the slow kill effect of this technology as a coercive weapon. Jeremiah Ives' specific horrific testimony of manipulative abuse is so heinous that it's hard to believe that individuals are sitting in an operations center watching in real time with access to the highly advanced versions of this technology, and with some using it for evil and without remorse. In common with many victims, these efforts relentlessly attempted to manipulate Jeremiah, using every aspect of their high-tech techniques until he sought relief, believing that if he did what was requested, that his covert torment would cease. Jeremiah can thank a power greater than himself and the omnipotent spirit of goodness at his core, which pulled him through and allowed him to turn the table and not harm those he loves. Make no mistake about it. This powerful presence within human being is the ultimately untouchable. With that said, here is his personal account in his own words. Targeting testimony of Jeremiah Ivie. I was targeted when I came to San Diego in 1999. I have been kept a prisoner here and unable to leave or prosper due to intense no-touch remote torture that is ongoing. I noticed changes in my mind and body first, intense sexual desire mentally and physically. I seemed to develop an uncontrollable urge to masturbate. I noticed that my feelings and emotions could not be controlled when around people, even people that I was normally comfortable around, like family and friends. For example, when close to my mother or father, I would feel a sexual attraction between us, or mental imagery of attraction. This was the same between male friends, which had never happened before. I found it strange, because for 29 years, I have always been attracted to females. This was disturbing. But more disturbing was the visualizations of negative mental imagery would appear in my mind and triggered by what I looked at in my environment. My thoughts increasingly became negative, and family and friends started to notice and treat me different. I could not figure it out. I became more secluded and paranoid because of my changing feelings and fantasies. I became emotionally sensitized. I could not focus or use my time wisely. It became difficult to work or think productively. I could not focus on my schoolwork because of these distractions. People in my life who were influential and in positions to help me decided against it because of my instability. It drove a wedge between me and my family. We began to develop a sense of resentment towards each other. I developed a sense of dependency toward my mother and father, and we became angry at each other, and I developed a sense of desperation. At this time, I noticed that certain parts of my body were constricting and in pain. For example, my left arm and shoulder became weak and out of place despite of how often I worked out. My neck began to hurt and look skinny and unhealthy in the mirror. My throat and lungs became irritated and stressed as if my glands were sick. My hips started to hurt and protrude from my body. My body odor changed and smelled different. My spine tightened and all my bones began to crack. I started getting uncontrollable urges to crack all my bones, especially my spine and neck. I started getting rashes and hard little bumps were coming out of my skin. I felt afflicted. My parents threw me out and I became homeless. In my environment, people would befriend me and then become hostile and say things that only I would know. They would always pop up out of the blue and try to influence me into negative behavior. They would say and do things to me as if they were trying to program me with street theater. The color red began to stand out every place I went. I got the feeling that I was being led into a psychological nightmare. I began to hallucinate and stare at objects for long periods of time. My personality began to change, and for the first time in my life at the age of 30, I started hearing voices that were not my own. At first they were nice to me and tried to gain my loyalty by identifying themselves as the United States military. They said to me that my parents were satanic terrorists that were committing internet crimes like child pornography and secretly filming people and making money off of it online. At that time, I had no idea how my parents made their money, so I thought it might be a possibility. They said that they were a covert operation that needed my help in killing my parents for duty to the country, and played on my patriotism because of the war on terror. When I refused and said that I did not believe them, they became abusive verbally in my head. It seemed I was communicating with a group of military scientists. They began to humiliate me after every thought. They began injecting me with dreams of violence and drug use. The mental communication was 24/7 from the moment I woke up to the time I went to bed every night. I was sleeping less and less. When I would close my eyes, I would see in my mind the outline of men masturbating and laughing at me, like they were raping me. I noticed the patterns of traffic, the way people walked and talked in relation to what I was experiencing. I was being followed by white trucks, vans, and what seemed to be brand new government cars with tinted windows wherever I would go. Police were also stalking me all the time. They had me driving to different locations of town, getting out, marching around town, etc. I would laugh, cry, become angry or aggressive, thoughtful, religious, in an instant. And they let it be known that they were in charge. I was experiencing extreme fatigue along with sharp pains and pressure to my head. After 9 months of this type of remote torture and gang stalking, they convinced me to unalive my parents, just on the promise of relief and making it stop. I went into my parents' room with a knife and watched them sleep. I broke down crying, woke up my parent, and finally told them what I was experiencing. They called 911, and police and ambulance came and took me to the mental ward. This happened 3 times, and on the 4th time, oh, this is horrible. I stabbed my dad in the chest several times, threw him down the stairs, and beat him. I ran to the police station thinking it was over. I turned myself in, and police interrogated me. I was told the Chula Vista police during my statement that I was hearing military voices that ordered me to kill my parents. The police became angry with me and aggressive. I got scared and asked for a lawyer. I could not control my speech any longer. I was misdiagnosed and exonerated. After 3 days inside jail, the voices stopped. But only the body pains remained, and I finally integrated back into society. It all started over again, and I noticed the same things starting to happen again. This time I felt extreme pain in all of my limbs and it mimicked nerve damage. I became bedridden and lost my job and car. My parents took me in and let me stay in my dad's office. I would only get out of bed to work or look for work. I was thinking so bad that the whole house was vibrating. Right, yes. All of my limbs were jerking and I was getting zapped. In 2007, I went to the hospital to get surgery on my neck, or I would have died. After surgery, the voices came back, except this time I was familiar with the attack and started doing research and networking with other targets. After doing research, I was able to recognize their tactics and adjust to them. I can identify perps, and for more detailed description on their mental torture program, I can provide it upon request. What was attempted with Jeremiah has a foundation in a program called Project Monarch, which began in Nazi German concentration camps, originally led by the infamous Dr. Joseph Mengele, also known as the Angel of Death, because of his preference for horrific torture. Project Monarch is named after the monarch butterfly, symbolizing transformation. It is a method of mind control which is said to be used today by numerous organizations for covert purposes, for example, to train assassins. Many believe that many transformed individuals are even today being used for various purposes after being subjected to this programming, which results in the development of alters or multiple personalities. Any of the altered personalities can then be triggered by their handlers, for example, through a computer. Another name for this programming is called a slave or delta programming. Project Monarch has connections to Project MK Ultra studies, also, which was a definite and historic documented mind control program, also stated by the FBI through these control. Let's see, where is it? Project Monarch has connections to MK Ultra studies also, which was a definite and historically documented mind control program, as previously stated, developed by the CIA and tested on the military and civilians during the 50s, 60s, and 70s until the Church Committee's hearings sent the operation underground. Well, we all know that we may think that they sent it underground, but it resurfaced new and improved with technology. The traumatic, inhuman methods are documented as being astonishingly sadistic, and the expected results are horrifying. After the mind separates, the creation of a mind-controlled slave is achieved, which can be triggered at any time to perform any action required by the handler. This is a sadistic, very sadistic, sick person. Psychopath. By some accounts, over 2 million Americans have gone through the horrors of this program. Just remember, this is 2013, the book is written. To achieve Monarch programming as a mind control technique, an individual is subjected to the trauma-based transformation in early childhood and is horrendously tortured in many manners, which comprises elements of satanic ritual abuse resulting in synthetic, which is fake, multiple personality disorder when the mind separates. For example, by, in the case of children, watching a loved one brutally or viciously unalived before their very own eyes. The trauma utilizes a combination of psychology, neuroscience, and occult rituals to create within the slaves an alter persona that can be triggered and programmed by the handlers. Sleep deprivation, drugs, etc. are the tools of programming. Today, Monarch slaves are used by several organizations connected to the world elite, and is believed today in fields ranging from the military as sex slavery and throughout the entertainment industry, or displaying the 3 6s sign, 666, which many mistake for the OK sign, when you OK, or even the pyramid hand sign showing allegiance to the global elite or Masons. The levels of Monarch programming identify the slave's quote-unquote functions and are named after the electroencephalography, the EEG, brain waves associated with them. Without a doubt, what Jeremiah reported are patented technological capabilities right down to intense, high-tech sexual stimulation. Now, I'm just going to give you a patent. Let's keep this in the back of your mind. This is patent number 6091994. The patent is PULSATIVE manipulation of nervous system. Okay, so the abstract is the method and apparatus for manipulating the nervous system by imparting subliminal pulsative cooling to the subject's skin at a frequency that is suitable for the excitation of a sensory resonance. At present, 2 major sensory resonances are known with frequencies near 1/2 hertz and 2.4 hertz. The 1/2 hertz sensory resonance causes relaxation, sleepiness, ptosis of the eyelids, a tonic smile or a quote-unquote knot in the stomach, or sexual excitement depending on the precise frequency level used. The 2.4 Hz resonance causes a slowing of certain cortical activities and is characterized by a large increase of the time needed to silently count backward from 100 to 60 with the eyes closed. The invention can be used by the general public for inducing relaxation, sleep, or sexual excitement, and clinically for the control and perhaps treatment of tremors, seizures, and autonomic system disorders such as panic attacks. Okay, so this is a patent called the pulsative manipulation of nervous systems. The half-hertz resonance will cause you to fall asleep, become relaxed, ptosis of the eyelids, and a tonic smile or a knot in your stomach or sexual excitement. Okay, so I'm going to end here. This is page 27 that I'm ending on. Again, this is a book, Covert Technological Murder by Renee Pittman. Pain Ray Beam. I look forward to your questions and comments down below. Let me know if you've read this book or if you'd like for me to read some more of this book. There's so much here, guys. Let me see. It's they talk about patents, other technological advances, and again, this is written in 2000. This is written in 2013, and then let's see. It's originally written in 2013, and then republished in Columbia, South Carolina, February 24, 2022. Okay, so this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading signing off for now.